When you think about this love story, it almost seems too sweet to be real. Jennifer Hudson just flipped the entire script, and everyone is stunned by the twist. In the beginning, everything looked flawless, picture perfect. Smiles everywhere, compliments flying, and chemistry so strong that fans couldn't help but root for Common and Jennifer as one of Hollywood's most charming duos. Common even went out of his way to shower her with praise, calling Jennifer one of his greatest blessings and saying they were equally yoked. It sounded sincere, the kind of love talk that makes people believe in fairy tales again. For a while, everything seemed genuine, but then came the cracks. Supporters began to wonder, were those sweet words honest, or just a polished performance hiding something deeper? What once looked like real harmony started feeling more like a show carefully rehearsed for the cameras. Jennifer kept feeding the idea of a solid relationship, saying she was happiest when she got late-night calls from her man. She painted the picture of pure, unwavering love, the kind that feels safe, steady, and true. But then, whispers turned into headlines. Tensions rose. Quiet murmurs and suspicious receipts started surfacing in unexpected ways. People close to them hinted at clashing egos behind the scenes, suggesting a drama big enough to change everything. Still, Jennifer handled it all with poise. Her reactions, calm, polished, almost legendary, proved that she knew how to stay composed even when the spotlight burned brightest. But what once seemed like a romance built on respect and understanding was suddenly falling apart faster than anyone imagined. Those same compliments that once sounded heartfelt were being replayed and dissected by fans who now wondered if they were carefully chosen words. Not love, but strategy. Common had made everyone believe Jennifer was his greatest gift, presenting their bond as perfectly balanced, the very image of compatibility. But sometimes, when things look too perfect from the outside, it's only because a storm is quietly building underneath. Jennifer continued to show the world her ideal love story. Those late-night phone calls, that joy she claimed as her peace in a stressful world. Yet this is where the cracks truly began to show. Because according to the latest rumors, that happy place she described may not have even belonged to Common. And that's the twist no one saw coming. Word on the street is that Jennifer might have someone new, a mysterious man entering the picture. If the whispers are true, these aren't just empty rumors. They come from the very world she once called her joy. And this new man? He's not ordinary. Like Jennifer, he's from Chicago's South Side. A creative powerhouse, producing music, directing films, even working on anime, respected in both entertainment and art circles. A mirror image of her in many ways. To Common, this wasn't just gossip. It was a hard truth that cut deeper than anyone expected. Suddenly, the love story everyone believed in might not have been a love story at all. Maybe it was just a romanticized headline, a glossy image for public consumption. And maybe, just maybe, Common still doesn't know the full truth, while the whispers around him grow louder by the day. Those whispers hit like a knockout punch, shaking everything. Fans began asking questions. Insiders started dropping hints. Everyone wanted to know. How long could this perfect illusion last before the truth finally slipped out? What started as affection and late-night calls had now evolved into something much more tangled, something powerful enough to rewrite everything the public thought they knew about Jennifer Hudson's love life. When the receipts surfaced, this wasn't your typical celebrity scandal. Pride, power, betrayal, it all mixed into a love story turned full-blown standoff. And let's be real, the energy didn't shift overnight. There had been cracks long before anyone dared to mention them. Both Jennifer Hudson and Common shared deep roots, Chicago legends with awards lining their shelves. They kept crossing paths, at galas, red carpets, music events. Each time the chemistry was undeniable. By 2024, it wasn't just about bumping into each other at high-profile events. They were starring side by side in a short sci-fi thriller, sharing scenes that buzzed with electricity. The chemistry was impossible to ignore, the kind that demanded attention. Early in 2023, fans couldn't miss the signs anymore. Paparazzi caught them everywhere: Chicago, Philly, Malibu, cozy dinners, relaxed strolls, affectionate glances. Even though TMZ and other outlets played it safe with the "Just Friends" headline, the internet knew better. People saw the looks, the body language, the comfort between them. The whispers grew into full-blown theories. To fans, it wasn't friendship, it was romance, right in plain sight. And though both Common and Jennifer kept dodging questions with perfectly polished answers, that only made the public more suspicious. Because when two stars keep insisting we're just friends, while giving off obvious chemistry, it starts sounding more like a confirmation than a denial. But behind the smiles and the charm, tension was building, quietly but steadily. Behind the glitter and glowing headlines, tension began to rise like a quiet storm. Common, known for his charm and smooth talk, suddenly found himself caught in a spotlight that couldn't be dimmed. He had built a reputation for being soulful yet guarded when it came to love. But this time, there was nowhere to hide. Jennifer, always the picture of grace and control, was now the center of a narrative she didn't entirely own. Her private world, something she had fiercely protected, was now being dissected by every blog, every fan account, every gossip column that could grab a headline. Then came July 2024 and everything changed. During an episode of the Miami It podcast, Common poured fuel on the fire. At the 20-minute mark, he spoke about Jennifer with the kind of passion that instantly went viral. He called her one of the greatest blessings in his life, talking about alignment, connection, and that now famous phrase, equally yoked. On the surface, it sounded romantic, the kind of deep spiritual love that people dream about. But the tone? Fans picked up on something else. To some, it felt like he wasn't speaking from the heart. More like he was performing, turning his relationship into a subtle self-promotion. Social media went wild. Memes exploded. Comment sections filled up with side eyes and think pieces. Line by line, Common's words were dissected like poetry under a microscope. Jennifer, meanwhile, stayed calm, almost untouched. When interviewers tried to bait her into reacting, she smiled and deflected with elegance. "I'm grateful," she said softly. "I thank God for everything. I'm just following his lead." That answer was powerful, serene, measured, untouchable. It made her look grounded and unbothered, a woman guided by faith, not headlines. Even when hosts tried to press her for details, she refused to give them what they wanted. During her own Jennifer Hudson show, she laughed off the speculation with charm, never once losing her composure. At the African American Film Festival on Martha's Vineyard, she dropped just one teasing line, referring to Common as "that man of mine." It was casual, playful, yet perfectly timed to keep the mystery alive. At that point, the dynamic was clear. Common was loud and public with his affection, while Jennifer was careful, controlled, strategic. She made sure her name, her brand, stayed at the forefront. Her music, her talk show, her projects always came first. Common was a part of her life, but never the headline. And that contrast spoke volumes. Behind closed doors, though, that difference in approach was creating friction. To fans, it looked like two people playing the same game, love in the public eye, but from entirely different sides of the field. Common seemed to enjoy the spotlight, the praise, the attention their pairing brought. Jennifer treated love like something sacred, not a storyline for the public. And when those two energies collide, cracks aren't far behind. He appeared on her show once or twice, but Jennifer never let it become a spectacle. No long romantic monologues, no over-the-top gestures. She kept it professional, polished, dignified, as though she was guarding something fragile before it could slip out of her hands. She didn't want their relationship to become a PR tool, not for him, not for anyone. She wanted privacy over performance. But Common? He didn't mind a little showmanship. And that difference, subtle at first, started turning into real tension. Jennifer believed love was sacred. Common saw it as something that could exist comfortably under the public gaze. Two people, two different philosophies. And when those philosophies clash, love starts to feel like a negotiation instead of a connection. Then, just when everyone thought things were settling down, it all flipped. The night everything changed, the night the cracks split wide open, came right after the Grammy Awards. Common attended a private post-show party at Delilah in Los Angeles, one of those exclusive after-hours events where cameras aren't allowed, but rumors travel faster than Wi-Fi. And that's exactly what happened. Whispers began spreading that Common had been seen getting a little too comfortable in a secluded booth, with a tall model type. Not Jennifer. And he wasn't even trying to play it safe. No ducked heads, no respectful distance, just leaning in close, whispering, laughing in her ear. Way too intimate to be friendly. Here's the worst part. Jennifer didn't find out directly. She found out like the rest of us, through texts, online murmurs, and messy headlines. For a woman as composed and private as Jennifer Hudson, someone who had already survived a public breakup with David Otunga, this wasn't just hurtful. It was humiliating. And in Hollywood, Public humiliation cuts deeper than heartbreak. Because it doesn't just wound your feelings. It can hurt your business, your reputation, your empire. Jennifer isn't just any celebrity. She's a powerhouse, a talk show host, a brand, a name that carries weight with millions of dollars behind it. So when stories started linking her name to cheating rumors, it wasn't just gossip. It was an attack on everything she had built. Behind the scenes, the change was instant. Sources say Jennifer iced him out, fast. Calls went unanswered. Invitations ignored. The connection went cold almost overnight. And if there's one thing Jennifer Hudson's history proves, it's that she doesn't back down easily. At first, she responded with subtle shade. Quiet remarks, poised smiles, short interviews where her tone said more than her words. But soon she switched tactics. She went strategic. It wasn't about talking anymore. It was about moving. Carefully, deliberately, she started reclaiming her narrative and her power. No one dropped direct evidence. No one needed to. In Hollywood, silence can be louder than proof. Common didn't issue any strong denials or fiery defenses. He just went quiet. Behind the curtain, both teams got to work. Jennifer's PR people pushed a clean, disciplined message. She was focused on her family and her career. No drama, no distractions. Graceful, composed, unbothered. Common's side floated a softer angle. We're still close friends, don't believe the blogs. But the difference in strategy was crystal clear. Jennifer's silence screamed confidence, the kind that makes fans connect the dots themselves. When the audience does the guessing for you, you've already won. From a PR standpoint, Jennifer's move was masterful. Silent dominance at its finest. No mudslinging. No desperate explanations. No messy interviews. Just grace, quiet confidence, and the kind of poise that made fans lean in closer instead of turning away. Meanwhile, Common's silence came across differently. To many, it felt weak, almost defensive. He seemed like a man trying to hold on to dignity, while the narrative slipped through his fingers. Here's the wildest part. No one actually knows when or how they officially ended things. There was no public breakup statement. No, we've decided to part ways. Nothing. Just silence, that hollow, telling kind of silence that makes everything louder. And that silence turned everything into a clue. Every public sighting, every Instagram caption, every interview answer was suddenly evidence. Fans turned into detectives, examining every look, every laugh, every absence like forensic experts. Then, just as the dust started to settle, a blind item dropped online and reignited everything. The post claimed that Common's new connection wasn't some random fling. It was someone tied to Jennifer's own inner circle. If that's true, we're not talking about simple heartbreak anymore. We're talking about betrayal. Deep, personal, cutting betrayal. After that story hit, Common disappeared. No more press runs. No more smiling for cameras. No social media updates. Just pure silence. And in Hollywood, silence means something hit a nerve. While Common went underground, Jennifer leveled up into full chess mode. According to insiders, she made sharp, quiet moves, cutting off certain friends, changing her inner circle almost overnight. It was fast, precise, and left people whispering who got cut and why. But instead of making her seem bitter, these moves only added to her aura. Every public appearance after that was a statement. Her style? Immaculate. Her presence? Radiant. Her smile? Unbothered. But with just the faintest edge of mystery that made everyone lean in closer. She was glowing, but fans swore they could see the shadow behind her eyes. The kind of emotion that only comes when you've been both hurt and empowered. People began rewatching her interviews, her performances, her laughter, searching for hidden meanings, for hints. Every glance, every smirk, every lyric suddenly seemed like a message. Jennifer wasn't just shading anymore. She was storytelling, without words. It wasn't revenge. It was art. Common, on the other hand, stayed invisible. The silence surrounding him grew deafening. Fans started speculating that maybe the rumors were true, that this wasn't just gossip. It was personal, raw, and too close to home. What's even more interesting? Brands didn't abandon Jennifer, they doubled down. Companies saw how she carried herself, composed, classy, untouchable. She didn't spiral. She didn't clap back, she rose. And in Hollywood, that's everything. Image isn't just important, it's currency. Jennifer's calm became her power. Common's absence became his liability. Soon, PR analysts started whispering behind the scenes that Common's silence looked less like grace and more like guilt. His sudden retreat from the spotlight wasn't helping his image. Some even claimed brands that once courted him began to observe from a distance, waiting to see how this played out before associating with him again. Because here's the truth. Getting tangled in a love triangle is one thing. But when the person you're tangled with controls daytime TV airtime, Oprah-level connections, and the kind of influence that shapes public opinion, you're fighting on dangerous ground. Jennifer Hudson wasn't just a singer or actress anymore, she was a media force. And Common? He seemed unprepared for the battlefield he'd stepped into. At this point, the exact state of their relationship became murky. No denials, no confirmations, just ambiguity. But in the court of public opinion, the verdict was already in. Jennifer was crowned the wronged queen, elegant, strategic, powerful. Common, on the other hand, became the man who let history repeat itself. Fans weren't subtle about it either. Memes flooded social media. Being common just means being common. The jokes were harsh, but they reflected a deeper truth. His reputation had taken a serious hit. And that brings us to the million-dollar question, the one that still lingers. Did Common really mess up the most high-profile relationship of his career? Or is there more to this story? Something even deeper? Maybe someone within Jennifer's own team stirring the pot for their own gain? Because in this era of viral rumors and instant outrage, sometimes it doesn't take proof. Just one spark to light a wildfire. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's smoke. Either way, one thing's certain. This story is far from over. Every post, every red carpet glance, every surprise duet or public sighting could be the next chapter. And whatever happens next, it will reveal exactly where Jennifer Hudson and Common really stand months past. The headlines shifted. The rumors cooled. But the tension and that quiet cooled. Unspoken energy between Jennifer Hudson and Common never really disappeared. It just went underground, simmering beneath the surface. Then, out of nowhere, Common reappeared. A few paparazzi shots, a couple of red carpet sightings, a calm, calculated interview on a podcast. He looked composed, maybe even regretful, but still distant. When asked about love, he didn't name names. He just said, "Sometimes timing teaches you more than love ever could." That one line set the internet ablaze again. Was he talking about Jennifer? Was this an apology? A confession? A hint? No one knew, but everyone assumed. Jennifer, on the other hand, was thriving in ways that felt almost poetic. Her talk show was climbing in ratings. Her music was trending again, and she started showing up at major events, not just as a guest, but as a headliner, as the moment. She didn't just move on. She transcended, and yet, beneath the flawless glam and unbothered smile, fans noticed something subtle, a reflective edge. Every so often during interviews, she'd pause before answering questions about relationships. Her eyes would soften for just a split second before she smiled and steered the conversation back to work. That micro-expression told a story, one deeper than any headline ever could. Because let's be honest, when two people share a connection like that, it doesn't just vanish. It lingers. It echoes in memories, in songs, in moments they can't publicly acknowledge anymore. Behind the cameras, insiders whispered that Common had quietly reached out, not for reconciliation, but for closure. Apparently, they spoke briefly, calm, polite, maybe even respectful. But whatever was said stayed private. Neither of them mentioned it again. That was the moment fans realized. This wasn't about drama anymore. It was about healing. And for Jennifer, that healing looked like evolution. She wasn't broken, she was building. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Just quiet progress, visible to the world. Common, meanwhile, seemed to step back from the spotlight again. This time, not out of guilt, but introspection. He focused on his art, his activism, his music. He looked centered, almost peaceful, like a man learning from the wreckage of his own patterns. Still, the whispers persisted. Some said Jennifer had someone new, someone outside the industry, someone who treated her with the gentleness she always deserved. Others claimed she wasn't dating at all, that she was finally choosing herself. Either way, the narrative flipped. Jennifer Hudson was no longer the woman caught in heartbreak. She was the woman who turned pain into power. Her silence had become her strategy, her grace her greatest weapon. And for Common, he became the cautionary tale, the man who lost a real one twice. Hollywood loves a redemption arc, but this story felt different. It wasn't about who was right or wrong anymore. It was about what happens when love collides with timing, pride, and public pressure. Because sometimes two people can be perfect for each other, just not at the same time. Sometimes love isn't lost. It's just unfinished. And that's what keeps fans hooked, the what if. What if they meet again? What if time softens the pain and rewrites the ending? What if this isn't over, just paused? Only they know the truth. Until then, Jennifer Hudson remains unshaken, the embodiment of resilience and grace. Common remains reflective, the poet still searching for the verse that explains it all. And the world? Still watching, still waiting, still wondering how a love story that started with so much promise turned into a mystery wrapped in silence. Because in Hollywood, silence isn't the end. It's just the space before the next act begins. Or the next act begins.